Welcome to the newest episode of Beatin' and Bangin'. I'm your host, Kyle Dalton. In today's episode, we're going to recap the race weekend at Richmond. But today's episode will be a little bit different than past recaps because that's all I'm going to focus on is the race. Let me explain why. And this is also the same reason I didn't do any videos all last week. Unfortunately, I had an unexpected medical emergency last Sunday. What does that mean? Well, I was sitting down writing a story before the race at Watkins Glen, and then all of a sudden the vision in my left eye started going wonky. Now, for those of you who have followed my channel for a while, more specifically back to the start of this year, you guys know I had some health issues in February when I was in Florida to cover the Daytona 500, but I didn't even get a chance to cover the race because I had the flu, which triggered my atrial fibrillation to a dangerously high heart rate. I was hospitalized until they could get that under control. It was my first hospitalization since my 20s. But I've had atrial fibrillation for years. My parents had it, my brother has it. It's a Dalton family thing. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, it's just an irregular heartbeat that can cause a stroke. Well, that's what happened on Sunday. I had a stroke, but thankfully my wife and I acted quickly and got to the ER within an hour of the episode starting. They gave me this special drug called a clot buster, and within an hour, my vision issues and my headache had cleared up. However, the journey had just begun. That included my first ever ambulance ride because they had to transport me to a hospital to monitor my vitals and make sure that I wasn't having any deficits when it comes to physical abilities of walking or speech. But most importantly, that clot buster drug can lead to serious bleeding if I were to bump something or get a cut. So it's mandatory that you're watched very closely for 24 hours. So this time last week, I was sitting in a hospital bed really trying to process what had just happened. Now, here we are a week later, and to be honest, the last week has been kind of fuzzy. It's also been kind of emotional, frustrating because I can't think straight and I can't do what I love, which is making videos. But as I always tell my kids and my wife and my family, it's just life. Stuff happens. Every single one of us has challenges going on in our lives, and that was my thing last week. Thankfully, I feel like I'm on the mend. So with all of that said, I just watched the race, took some notes while watching it, and listened to some team radios like I always do. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. However, before we get to that, I want to talk about the sponsor of today's episode, and it's one of the coolest stores in my area, and that's the Hobby Shop. Like many of you, I'm a big RC fan. Through the years, I've had various cars, a boat, a plane, and multiple drones. And I can tell you with 100% certainty, the Hobby Shop is the best RC store I've ever seen. You don't have to take me at my word, just look at these photos. Their awesome selection is second to none and includes all the toys I've enjoyed my entire life, plus a huge inventory of parts and accessories. And the cherry on top is multiple tracks for racing, including this amazing drifting setup that is first class. Honestly, I enjoy going there just to watch others try to navigate their way around the track. And yes, they have a selection of these RC NASCARs like this Joey Logano in stock. So to all you guys in the Central Texas area, I highly recommend you go check them out in person. You will not be disappointed. And for those of you who can't get there by car, go visit them online at thehobbyshoptx.com. That's thehobbyshoptx.com. Thanks again to the Hobby Shop for sponsoring this episode. All right, now let's get to that race recap. And we're going to start with Ryan Preece sitting on the pole for the first time this year and the second time in his career. The other thing that I did want to mention from before the race was there was some concern in the garage about the tires and the number of tire sets that the teams had and the amount of fall-off that was expected. In fact, Brad Keselowski had the best comment when he said, "We are in trouble, so the math ain't mathing," but I might be wrong. In that first stage with managing tires, a big storyline, I was really paying attention to who and when the teams would make their first pit stops. William Byron was the first team to pit on lap 32, and others soon followed. Gibbs was the first of many pit road penalties on the day when he got nabbed for speeding. It was also during that first stage that I wanted to give some props to NBC, because they showed this really cool graphic that detailed the different tire strategies being employed using Denny Hamlin and Ryan Preece as examples. Preece didn't pit in that first cycle and led the first 58 laps before Tyler Reddick passed him and took the lead with 12 laps to go. The RFK Racing number 60 pilot wasn't alone in that strategy. Alex Bowman and Chase Elliott also stayed out and would have an extra set of Goodyears which would work out in the end to their advantage if there were multiple late cautions. Wrapping up that first stage, Tyler Reddick won it, and he was followed by his 2311 Racing teammate, Bubba Wallace, his 2311 Racing team co-owner, Denny Hamlin, Austin Dillon, and Austin Cindric. Continuing our theme for the year, there were no cautions for incident in that first stage. During the stage break stops, there were multiple issues on pit road, including Denny Hamlin having a second issue after a slow first stop and getting a speeding penalty. Ty Gibbs received his second speeding penalty, and Chase Elliott was called for car interference. His team didn't agree with the call.
We got a vehicle interference, tail of the line.
I need to see the video. Look at the pit stop off.
They said he was inside the orange line when he brushed the tire carrier.
I saw it.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't know what you're supposed to do in that situation, unless you just want me to wave around and fucking pit the next time.
You're behind. It's full gear in front of him. He's the fucking asshole that picked there, so yep, all good.
Moving on to the second stage, and the biggest movers 50 laps into the run were SVG, who had moved up 6 spots. After penalties, Elliott had picked up 10 spots, and Hamlin had gained 15 spots. During that first pit stop in the stage, Kyle Busch, who had been having issues with his car in that first stage, also got a speeding penalty and was understandably frustrated about it.
All red, 3, 2, 1, now, all red. What are we doing?
By lap 150 of the race, we had 5 lead changes. Why is that significant? That was more than the entire Bristol race earlier this year. After last week and some contentious moments on the team radio between Ty Gibbs and de facto crew chief Chris Gabehart, the driver showed that he was on the same page.
Remember, we've started the whole cycle a lap now. The leaders will start pitting at about 8. We're going to start pitting at about 12 to 15.
Yep. Right with you. Having fun.
A short time later, we had our first caution for cause when Daniel Suarez got into the rear of Gibbs and sent him up the track and into Tyler Reddick, who went for a spin. We had our second caution for a Cody Ware spin, and a few laps later, and Gibbs had another interesting exchange with Gabehart over the radio. Listen to this.
I got Booty Barker's radio channel on mine as well. We're running split radios or what?
Boy, I don't know about that. That's some sort of frequency issue that somebody above me will have to figure out.
Yeah, tell Booty to shut up. He's screaming on my radio.
Is that the first time you've heard him, or have you been hearing him?
I've been hearing him.
And as we have come to expect this season, cautions breed cautions. A few laps later, and just before the halfway point of the race on lap 199, we surprisingly had the big one that involved a bunch of cars, and there were a lot of things going on. Let's start with Kyle Busch, and I want to show you his in-car camera and listen to his radio.
3 top, 19 will be good to push. You're going to be closed off your line. Good to push. Don't side bumper. All clear, all clear. Careful, protect bottom. Coming back across, pushing on you, outside, outside. All right, guys, we have nose damage here. Still inside. Hang on.
Did you notice anything in particular on what was said on the radio? Busch's spotter is already giving the damage report on the number 8 car to the team instead of telling the driver there was someone to his inside. By the time he did give him that information, it was too late, and Busch had turned left into the right rear of Chase Elliott. So it was a really interesting sequence of events, and to me, an odd reminder of last year when Austin Dillon sent Joey Logano before he then turned left and right rear hooked Denny Hamlin. Last week at Watkins Glen, Elliott snapped his streak of top 20 finishes this season. And this week he did one better, or I guess one worse, when he got his first DNF of the season. I thought one of the most interesting radio comments from that incident came from the number 24 car of William Byron.
One, got a pit ball. Top 3. Top 3. Stay. You're okay. You made it. Holy fuck, what? Let's fucking put tires on this fucking piece of shit.
Somebody just waylaid it.
Yeah, I got you.
We're just going to have to deal with it later.
Yeah. Fucking What the fuck are we doing out here? People are insane. The car's fine. The hood's kind of buckled a little bit. Even the wreck was over, and then I don't know how that happened.
I don't know. The 9 went in there like a rocket. He's the one that got us, so he's out. He's done.
Yeah, just racing like fucking idiots.
Bubba Wallace won the second stage, and he was followed by Daniel Suarez, Ryan Blaney, Austin Dillon, and Alex Bowman. To start the third stage, we already had teams opting for different tire strategies, with Michael McDowell, Ryan Blaney, and Carson Hocevar all taking 2 tires. Austin Dillon took the lead on that restart and showed he was definitely a race-winning capable car. In that first long run, one thing of note, SVG remained inside the top 15. He stayed in the top 15 the entire night. And I think it just goes to show you what he and others have been saying in recent weeks, is that the Kiwi is starting to get better on ovals. That could bode well for the number 88 car in the future, including the playoffs. During that same long run, Tyler Reddick raced around the number 99 Trackhouse car and made sure Daniel Suarez knew he was not happy about what had happened earlier in the race. There was another interesting moment during that final stage with Reddick's 2311 Racing teammate, Bubba Wallace, when the number 23 pilot, who had led a race-high 123 laps, lost the wheel during a stop and then pulled off a move similar to what Christopher Bell did earlier this year at Las Vegas and pulled into the number 19 stall of Chase Briscoe to get his car serviced. With 100 laps to go, Ryan Blaney made the pass of Dillon, and as I always do during every race, I was checking comments online, and there were multiple remarks suggesting that this was the best Gen 7 race on a short track. I have to completely agree. And honestly, I think it started back at North Wilkesboro. I was there for the All-Star race last year. It wasn't a good race as Joey Logano led every lap. But this year at North Wilkesboro was a dramatic improvement. Lots of passing, and now we have this at Richmond. So to me, this race and this tire that Goodyear brought made a huge difference. The fall-off was significant, and it's what many drivers, including Denny Hamlin, has repeated on his podcast, what they've wanted for a long time now. And it finally looks like we're reaching that point where Goodyear's formula is working and the tires are falling off and the cars are able to pass on short tracks. So let's give credit where credit is due, and Goodyear deserves a lot of kudos for this tire. In the final 75 laps, it was an entertaining battle between Ryan Blaney and Austin Dillon. And with 59 laps to go, Dillon's crew chief, Richard Boswell, made the first move and called in his driver for a pit stop, the money stop, and it proved to be the race-winning call. When Dillon came out, he was basically in front of Blaney by 8 seconds. The question was, could Blaney, who pitted later, catch him? With 35 laps to go, the lead was down to 3.5 seconds. With 16 to go, Alex Bowman joined the mix and battled Blaney for second, but both of them were now over 4 seconds behind the number 3 car. The number 48 eventually passed the 2023 champion with 15 to go, but Austin Dillon, to his credit, was able to hold off the late charge and had a sweet moment of redemption after last year's race where he was one of the best cars, if not the best car, and won under very controversial circumstances. This year he won it fair and square. There was no controversy. He was clearly one of the best cars for the day and earned a berth in the playoffs. I did think it was interesting after the race in his post-race interview that he said he didn't feel great coming into the day because he had a broken rib that he had suffered a couple weeks earlier. Dillon was followed by Bowman, Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, and Austin Cindric. So a 3-4-5 finish for the Penske team, which bodes well for them as they head into the playoffs. Others of note, Daniel Suarez, whose 2026 plans still are unknown, finished 7th and earned his second consecutive top 10, while Josh Berry finished 8th. And the aforementioned Shane Van Gisbergen finished 14th. All right, guys, that's a wrap on today's episode. I'm not going to get into a bunch of questions. Just let me know what you thought of the race. Did you enjoy it? And what did you think of the tire fall-off? And after all the doom and gloom from the week before, do you think we are finally headed in the right direction with the Gen 7 car on short tracks? Thanks again to the Hobby Shop Texas for sponsoring this episode, and make sure to go check out the link in the description for a great selection of RC cars and accessories. And thank you for checking out the latest episode and supporting the channel. I really and truly appreciate it, and hope you have a great rest of your day.